Yo, what's up guys? I go by ZV Endor and today I'm going to be showing you how to get some nice crisp vocals on your track. We're going to be going from this.
Ooh, she wanna come fuck my life up. I let her come my way.
To this.
Ooh, she wanna come fuck my life up. I let her come my way. Okay.
Alright, let's get started. And to do that, we're going to be using something called a vocal chain. Now some of you may be asking, what is a vocal chain? So a vocal chain is just the order of plugins you're going to be using on your vocals. Some of you may be asking, what are plugins? Plugins are basically apps you're putting on your vocals to make them sound good. And we're going to be going through every single one of those to get your vocals sounding great. Let's jump straight in. Stick around to the end and I will be giving you guys a bonus tip that involves these two extra tracks over here. But for now, we are going to hide them as well as all these other tracks so we can get focused up on what we will be using. So first things first, this right here is a vocal track. And on this track, we have items we put on there. These items are our plugins. These plugins, like we said earlier, are basically apps we put on the vocal to make them sound good. Some are paid and some are free. As you can imagine, the paid ones do give you a better sound, but you can get things started with free plugins to learn. Free plugins are not bad by any means. They can still give you a good sound. Today we're going to be learning with both free plugins and paid plugins, as I know many of you will just be starting out with free plugins. So I made two tracks, one with a majority paid plugins and one with a majority free plugins. Now let's talk about what we put on these tracks to get our nice sounding vocal. First things first, the order of the plugins you put on your vocal are extremely important. It determines what the vocal touches first. Meaning when the vocal first hits the chain, it's going to be touching whatever plugin's at the top, then the next one, so on and so forth. So, meaning the vocal is going to be interacting with each plugin from top to bottom. These two vocal tracks are exactly the same. The only difference will be the plugins. So let's start with our first plugin on the vocal chain, our NS1 noise suppressor. I really advise adding a noise suppressor on every single track you use that contains vocals. What a noise suppressor does, well, as you probably guessed, it suppresses all the background noise that will be coming through the mic when you have your microphone on. So let's take a listen to all the noise we have coming through without the noise suppressor. All that noise will be translated through your microphone. There's a microphone right over here I'm speaking through, and we have a bunch of noise coming in along with our vocal. But when I turn on this noise suppressor, it minimizes the background noise drastically. And why we have a noise suppressor is because most of our rooms are not treated. We usually don't have professional studios built into our bedrooms. So this plugin can emulate a professional studio. We need to drown out that background noise so we can edit our vocal as best as possible. If we have different artifacts and background noise coming in through the mic along with our vocal, we're going to be editing all that background noise along with that vocal, and it's going to give us a very crushed and scrunched up sound. So this noise suppressor is very important. As for the noise suppressor, I do not use a free plugin for the noise suppressor, and I advise you do not use a free plugin for the noise suppressor as well. This noise suppressor is called an NS1. It is $40, and this video is not sponsored by NS1 at all. I just think it's one of the better noise suppressors on the market. Usually your DAW or digital audio workstation, for those of you that don't know, like Logic Pro X, the one we're in right now, has free noise gates or noise suppressors, but those do not tend to work very well. They usually drown out the background noise along with part of your vocals, so you won't be getting the actual full range of your vocal. So use free plugins to start, but if you have to pay for any plugin, your first paid plugin should be a noise suppressor, in my opinion. So for those reasons, I will not be using the DAW's free noise suppressor because we will not be getting a very good sounding vocal. And we want a good sounding vocal for this clip. Okay, so the second item I use is Autotune. Autotune automatically tunes your vocals. hence the name Autotune. Now, some of you might not need Autotune, but trust me, I need Autotune. My vocals are terrible without them. So let's open up Autotune, or pitch correction. Okay, so first things first, for Autotune, you do need the key to your song, or what scale your song is in. My song is in E minor. So we have to go to our natural minor scale. If it's a major scale, we use major scale. For this case, we're going to be using our natural minor scale, and we're going to change this to E, right? So E natural minor. If you do not know the key to your song, I do have a video that can help you find the key to your song, and it should be in one of those boxes up there. But that is definitely a topic that takes a whole video. Now, once you do get the key to your song, you want to look at this response time over here. The faster you make it, the more of that robotic T-Pain sound you're going to get. But that also means the more your vocals are going to be pulled in to the correct note. All right, let's listen to some of the chorus with our noise suppressor and the pitch correction.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, okay, okay.
Sounds decent enough. So if any of you are curious about paid plugins, this is Autotune Effects. This is what most people use. This is from Antares. They're one of the staples of Autotune and pitch correcting effects. If some of you were curious about how it sounded, let's take a listen.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, okay, okay.
I'll let you guys be the judge of if that sounded better than the stock version or not. Okay, let's go on to our next and arguably one of the most important plugins to use on your vocals, the EQ. So what an EQ does is adjust the volume of the frequencies of your vocals. All right, let's break that down. So everything with sound has frequencies. There are higher frequencies, there are lower frequencies. This EQ lets you manipulate those higher frequencies or those low frequencies, those middle frequencies. First things first, what you want to do for every single vocal you have is take out the lows. Take out the low rumbles that you do not need in your vocal tracks to give you a more crisp sounding vocal. This is where we're going to be noticing the biggest change. For even my professional mixes, I use Logic's stock free plugin because I think the EQ is very good. Most DAWs have very good EQs because, like I said, it's one of the most important plugins to use on a vocal. All right, so let's start chopping away some lows. How I like to use my EQs is to go high enough as to where the vocal starts sounding very thin and then dial it back a little bit. So let's take a listen.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, okay.
As I move this slider, you're gonna notice the vocal is gonna start sounding very thin.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, okay, okay.
Bring it all the way up.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay.
But we don't want to bring it that high, obviously.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, okay, okay.
I like it right about right there. So another region I like to touch that's very important for the EQ is this low to mid range right here, because there's a boxy nasally sound that comes from our microphones that we need to remove. So let's take a listen for that nasally sound. I'm gonna bring the nasally frequency up so you can hear what we're going to remove. Let's take a listen.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, okay, okay.
We want to take out all that. Yeah, we want to take out that region right there. So let's bring it down.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, okay.
And let that nasally portion disappear. Sounds good. Another region that's a little more optional in my opinion, but most producers do, is raise up the highs to get your vocal to sound a lot more crispy. Let's do it for the sake of this video.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, okay, okay.
That gives our vocals a crisper sound. Now that's good for now for our EQ, but the EQ we can go so much more in depth with. If you guys want, I can make a whole video on an EQ. You guys just gotta say the word in the comments below. Some of the things you could do is raise some mids over here to give you a more beefier sound. Add reductive EQs to take out more nasal sounds from your microphone.
Okay, okay, okay.
and add an entire separate EQ for raising more high ends. But again, that is a topic for another video. Okay, as for the compressor, first things first, I like to take this auto gain off. So if you're on Logic Pro X, let's just start by turning this off so we can add some gain ourselves. Okay, what a compressor basically does is it takes the low parts of your vocals and brings them up, and it takes the high part of your vocals and brings them down to give us a more neutral sounding vocal. It allows the vocal to sit in the mix a lot better. A lot of people might not notice the compressor effect straight on, but the more time you work with the compressor, the more you'll notice it. So in my opinion, the three most important knobs on a compressor are the threshold, the ratio, and the makeup. But the two I like to focus on in greater detail are the threshold and the makeup. Let's take a listen to our vocal with and without the EQ. All right, here's without.
Okay, 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 okay.
Here's with.
Okay, 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 okay.
Subtle, but noticeable. All right, let's start playing with our compressor a little bit. So what you're gonna notice is the more I bring this threshold knob to the left, you're gonna start hearing less and less of our vocal. Let's take a listen.
Okay, 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 okay.
Okay, for beginners, this is how I like to explain it, even though this is not 100% accurate. What you can imagine is with this threshold, the more I bring it to the left, the lower it's making everything, so our gain can bring it all back up. So it's gonna take our super high sounding vocals and our super low sounding vocals, bring them all down so we can make it up with our makeup gain and bring all of it back up. So again, let's use the threshold to bring it all down, our super high sounding vocals and our super low sounding vocals all down to the same area of sound.
Okay, okay, okay.
About right there. And let's use our makeup gain to make up for the decibels we lost. Bring it back up.
Okay, 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 okay.
And as for the compressor, you do need to play with it a little bit to get that correct sounding vocal. And that goes for all of these plugins. I'm showing you a quick way to do them, but you do want to spend a little bit of time on them so you can get the vocal sounding right to you. As for the attack and release, I do not play with them that much. I like to bring my attack a little bit quicker, and I usually like to leave my releases and my knee in the middle. As for the ratio, it tells us how much it wants our compressor to work, how much of the volume we want knocked down. I usually like to keep it around 2 to 3.
Okay, 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 okay.
This meter tells us how much our compressor is working. I like to keep it around the -5 to -10 range.
Okay, okay, okay.
And to do that, I'm going to bring down my threshold.
Okay, okay, okay.
And once I bring down my threshold, again, I need to use that makeup gain to bring the volume back up.
Okay, 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 okay.
Okay, that sounds decent enough to me. Now, as for the paid compressor, for those of you that do want to see it, I use a CLA2A. Why I like the CLA2A personally is because of the knobs. Look at all of these knobs versus all of these knobs. I like a more simplistic approach to my compression. That's just personal preference. It really lets me focus on the threshold, which is this peak reduction knob, and the gain, which is the makeup gain knob. All right, let's take a listen to our vocal with and without the compressor. I'm gonna play it in and out for you because there's a subtle change, and I want you guys to really listen with your headphones or your studio monitors.
Okay, 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 okay. Okay, 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 okay.
All right, and that's everything for the main vocal chain. There's one more super important plugin I like to add, and that's Reverb. So first things first, I create a bus for my reverb. And what a bus essentially is it takes part of our vocal and it brings it to another track that we can manipulate freely and add to other tracks. That may sound a little confusing at first, but usually your DAW will help you through it, especially Logic Pro X. In my opinion, it's very beginner friendly. So let's take a look down here to our bus tracks section. And all these tracks from here on to the right are our buses. So here's bus 1, here's bus 2, here's bus 3, 4, and 5. We can create as many as we want and then distribute them along with our different tracks. So here's our paid plugin track right here, and here's our free plugin track. I'm gonna add a new bus entirely because our bus 1 is using our paid plugin, our paid reverb plugin that we're gonna talk about in a little bit, Valhalla Vintage Verb. So I'm gonna create another bus track. Bus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are taken. So I'm gonna make another bus called bus 6. So we're gonna go down here, bus 6, and we're gonna add a free reverb onto bus 6. And our free reverb on Logic is called Space Designer. There are a few reverbs, but Space Designer is the most famous because it basically functions like a paid plugin. It's a really, really good reverb. Okay, first things first, since we're on a bus, I'm gonna bring the wetness all the way up. If you were not on the bus, then you would worry about the wetness, how much of the reverb you're putting into the vocal. Since we're on the bus, we can worry about how much reverb we're putting through this knob right here. So we're gonna fully sync the reverb onto the bus. Okay, reverb can be a little bit confusing at first to beginners, so what I strongly advise is using a preset. Pre-made settings on your vocals that you can adjust afterwards. So how we do that on Logic is by going up to this section, clicking here, there's large spaces, medium spaces, small spaces. What I like to do is add a large space and go down to vocal hall because it's easy. It says vocal hall. I'm using it for vocals. Why not? Let's click that and let's take a listen.
Okay.
Nothing's happening. But that's because, again, even though our wetness is as high as it can be on the reverb, we have to use this knob now since our reverb is on a bus. So I'm gonna play the track and start bringing this knob up and we're gonna start hearing that reverb come in.
Okay.
There's our reverb. So let's bring that down.
Okay.
And that's basically it for reverb. Now there is one more thing I like to add on reverb when it's a little too overbearing, and that's an EQ. Remember, our EQ does not have to strictly be for the vocal. In fact, I use an EQ on almost every single one of my tracks in my song. An EQ manages the frequencies of sound. So if our sound for our reverb is too overbearing, what do is we manage those frequencies. So I'm gonna add an EQ to our reverb track right over here on bus 6 and start playing with it. Start taking some of the lows out and start taking some of the highs out so we can get that nice middle full reverb. Let's take a listen.
Okay.
A little more manageable. Let's listen to it before and after. So this is without the EQ on the reverb. This is with. Subtle difference, but all of those subtle differences combined will give you a nice crisp vocal. And really, that's it for our vocal. That's all you need for your vocal. All the other stuff is not as important, but can give you a nicer sounding vocal, like a delay or a spreader or a chorus effect. These 5 things we added, the noise suppressor, the pitch corrector, the EQ, the compressor, and the reverb, in my opinion, are non-negotiable to giving you a nice sounding vocal. For those of you curious about the paid reverb, there's many out there. The one I like to use is called Valhalla Vintage Verb. I won't give you a whole spiel on it, but for those who are curious, let's take a listen to how it sounds. That's Valhalla. So really quick, we're gonna listen to the vocal with free plugins and paid plugins. So from the beginning, here's our vocal with paid plugins.
Ooh, she wanna come fuck my life up. I let her come my way.
Let's take a listen with free plugins.
I let her come my way. Okay, okay. Make sure I'm never okay. Come find me. Okay, okay, okay. Okay.
Not too bad. Now, for those of you who stuck around for this bonus tip, in my opinion, this is just as important as plugins, and that is stacking vocals. Stacking your vocals to give your vocal a more fuller sound. So you'll hear people stack vocals in almost every track. So stacking vocals is basically singing out your vocals on one track, making a new track, singing your vocals again, making another track, singing your vocals again as many times as you want to get a more harmonic effect. So let's take a look. So what people usually do when they make a stacked vocal is make another vocal, pan it a little to the right, then make another vocal, pan it a little to the left, not particularly in that order. So again, what I did was I sang a vocal and then recorded another vocal, I moved to the right, and then recorded another vocal that I moved to the left of the stereo field, if you don't know what I mean by right and left. That means one sounds a little more prominent on my right stereo headphone and the other sounds a little more prominent on my left. Okay, let's take a listen with the main vocal muted.
I let her come my way. Okay.
So let's take a listen to the backup choruses together.
I let her come my way. Okay. Make sure I'm never okay. Come find me.
So what I did for the left vocal is scream the chorus, and what I did for the right vocal is I gave it a more harmonic feel. And altogether it gives us...
You wanna come fuck my life up. I let her come my way. Okay.
The vocal we had at the beginning of the song. For those of you curious about delays and chorus effects and spreaders, let me know in the comments. I can make a whole nother video about adding nice fluff to your song to make your song sound a little fuller. But I do think just to get you started, this is all you need. Just make sure you're slapping on a noise suppressor, some Autotune, an EQ, a compressor, some reverb, and you should be good to go. With that being said, there is no 100% way to have your vocal chain. Most producers will give you a slightly different vocal chain, but 90% of the time you'll be getting something along the lines of the order I showed you. But almost 100% of the time, producers will be using the 5 plugins I showed you. A compressor, Autotune, EQ, all that stuff. As always, leave a like if you learned something, subscribe if you want to see more beginner-friendly music-related videos. Till next time, peace.